Hi everyone, welcome back. I'm Dai, and today I am bringing you my thoughts on the series NG Life by Mizuho Kusanagi. This is a 9-volume manga series that was published by Tokyo Pop and is rated T for teen. As this story opens, we meet Cyrix and his wife Serena on the very last day of Pompeii. Flash forward to present-day Japan, and Cyrix has been reincarnated as Keidai Saeki, who is now a teenage boy. His best friend Serizawa is by his side, and he just meets his neighbor Yuma. The thing about this, though, is that Serizawa is the reincarnation of his best friend Lolius from Pompeii, and Yuma is the reincarnation of his wife Serena. Take this one step further. The reason this series is called NG Life, NG standing for no good, Serena and Lolius have been gender swapped. Lolius is now a girl and Serena is a boy. To make things worse, Serizawa and Yuma have no memories of their past life, and Keidai retains all of his memories. So this story follows Keidai navigating through his current life with all of his memories of everything that had happened between him and Lolius and him and Serena, but without being able to kind of interact with these people he held so dear to him in the same way. Along the way, we meet other characters who are also reincarnated people from Cyrix's life who may or may not have their memories as well. I believe the series was marketed as a romantic comedy and is definitely that. I had first heard about this series on another booktuber's channel. They were talking about manga, which is something unusual for this particular booktuber. I'm not going to reference them or link them down in the description box below, because when they were talking about this series, they were referencing and directing people to scan sites, and that is not something that I support. So that is how I found out about this series. The author may sound familiar to you because she has also written Yona of the Dawn, which is very, very popular amongst the manga tubers right now. It is not a series that I am particularly interested in reading, and if you know me a little bit, you know that I don't usually jump on hype trains. I try to avoid them at all costs. There are exceptions to this rule, however, but yeah, Yona of the Dawn is not one that is on my radar at this time. This one, however, piqued my interest because it was an older title. I do like to check out older titles because I feel like not enough attention is given to them. I feel like a lot of readers nowadays read a lot of what is new and fresh, and we sometimes forget about older series, and I'm the type of reader that likes to wait until a series is completely out before I read it, because I don't like cliffhangers. I don't like to have to wait to become engrossed in a story, and I don't have a lot of time for rereading. And I find that when I read a series that is currently coming out, I do have to reread a lot because of the time that it takes to have each installment come out. I do this with books, I do this with manga. It's not something new for me, and it's just the way I prefer to read. So with this being an older series, it definitely piqued my interest. This was published in 2010, so it is 10 years old now. Just on a whim, I decided to check out my local library because my local library system has a ton of manga. And luckily, they did have this title. You can actually see it here right over my shoulder. I will pull one of these volumes out for you so that you can see. Even though I am putting all of the pictures up for you to see here, I do want you to see how poorly people have been taking care of this volume because it is just so sad. So you can see that it is just all bent up. It is ripped. It is torn. I would like to think that this is a well-loved volume. But like I said, it was published in 2010. It is an old Tokyo Pop release, and you can see over here on the top it also says she is the creator of Mugen Spiral, which is a title that I did read. I had read it several years ago. It is a 2-volume supernatural story, and I really enjoyed that one. I do remember that I really wish that it was a little bit longer. Fun fact, I read Mugen Spiral while we were in line for a brand new ride at Disneyland, and I had gotten a really bad sunburn that day while waiting for that particular ride. The sun and I are not friends, just so you know. But that's why I remember reading Mugen Spiral. But I had never researched anything else the mangaka had written. Several years later now, I had actually heard about this series on that booktuber's channel last year. So it took me a while to find them. I have had the volumes since shut down. If you're watching this in the future, we are going through COVID-19 right now. So I've had these volumes for about 4 months. But yeah, I really enjoyed this series. I loved the author notes. It kind of took you through her process and things that were happening to her at the time that she was writing this story. Some of the things that her supervisor had told her about panels that she had drawn, that they were too perfect, even though it didn't really make sense to her. And she shows you what she had shown him, which panel the supervisor was talking about, and it's just hilarious. Some of the things that happened to her along the way. The story itself starts out really hilarious. K-Dai is very over the top in his reactions, which I found interesting because he remembers his past life as Syrinx. He remembers what he had done, and we get glimpses along the way of his past life, so it can acquaint us with things that had happened between him and Lolius, and how they met, and how him and Serena met, and their lives together. But at the time that the series opens up and we meet Syrinx for the first time, like I said, it's the very last day of Pompeii. Syrinx is an adult. I believe he's 23 or so when Pompeii gets engulfed by the ash of Mount Vesuvius. And so I find it funny that he is so over the top and very teenage-ish in his reactions to things. He still retains all of those memories of him being an adult and the way he was when he was in his past life, but he's completely different right now as K-Dai, and I found that to be very interesting. I loved that we got glimpses of his past life, and even when we meet the other characters that he knew from his past life, how his relationships with them were, things that had happened between them, it kind of all just adds to the story. One of these volumes, I believe it's volume 7, is full of short stories that have nothing to do with the main story, but it's just little glimpses into like the side characters' lives, his mom and dad. There's even stories, little short stories about other characters while they're in Pompeii. And I just thought that was a nice break from the story, but it also gave a lot of insight. It gave a lot of feelings of connections to these other characters, and I just really enjoyed it. I think I definitely enjoyed the later volumes more. I would say the romantic comedy aspect kind of goes out the window the closer we get to the end of this series. The last 2 volumes in this series were rather serious in their nature, because everything's coming to a head. We're finding out exactly what happened on that very last day of Pompeii, and some serious things definitely happened then, but the story ended very well. I feel like this story is complete, and I would definitely be interested in checking out something else by this mangaka. Just not Yona of the Dawn, at least not yet. I may check out Yona when it is closer to completion, so that I can kind of get into it and consume the whole story at one time. But it's not something that I'm interested in right now. But yeah, I really enjoyed this story. I really enjoyed seeing how the author took us through things that were happening to her in her life during the time that she was writing this and promoting this. And the art style is lovely, and I really enjoyed it. If you are able to find copies of this series, I would definitely recommend that you read it. But yeah, I'm very, very happy to be filming another one of these videos for you after so long. It's been a while since I've been able to get into a manga series and read one through to the end at one time. I haven't recorded one of these videos in a while because manga reading has just not been happening for me. Reading in general has not been happening for me. With the lockdown, reading time has been even sparser than it is when we weren't locked down. And so having been able to find the series and read it through and have the enjoyment of reading a manga be rekindled in me has been great, and I'm glad to have been able to share this title with you. Let me know if you've read anything by Mizuho Kusanagi, or if this series sounds interesting to you. That is all I've got for you today. I hope you're all doing great. I hope you're all safe and healthy. And until next time, take care and smile always. Bye!